On one hand, we already have great depth at defensive tackle, but on the other hand, a possible return of our legendary veteran is gaining major momentum today. He just took another massive step toward rejoining Los Angeles, and things are finally trending in the right direction for late August. This luxury addition would supercharge our defense right before the regular season starts. Please stay until the end of this report, hit like and subscribe to our channel right now. Aaron Donald held an official workout with the Los Angeles organization this past Sunday, sparking intense speculation regarding his potential return to the gridiron. This session represents his second official workout with the franchise over the last 2 weeks, a sequence that keeps fans wondering if the legendary defensive stalwart is truly gearing up for another run. Having watched his illustrious career unfold within these walls, I know why supporters remain glued to every update regarding his status. The reality is that no firm decision has been reached yet. As NFL Network reporter Ian Rappaport observed, while things are trending toward a likely return, the final word simply has not been spoken. Donald is currently testing how his body responds to rigorous football activities before committing to anything permanent. And honestly, the organization is handling this with total patience. They have communicated that the door remains wide open, placing the entire burden of choice squarely on his shoulders. There is no immediate roster pressure to force his hand, as the current rotation featuring Myles Garrett, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner provides enough security to treat a potential Donald arrival as a luxury rather than a desperation move. His target decision date has quietly shifted from earlier in the week to a later point, leaving us in a state of suspended animation. Should he decide to lace them up, I expect he will follow his own 2018 playbook, likely waiting until the preseason concludes in late August to avoid a mid-season transition. This man is either fully invested or not at all. But does his choice to push the timeline back suggest lingering physical hesitation? Or is he simply enjoying the tactical advantage of his own leverage? That is the question we need to watch as this situation develops further behind the scenes. Is it really that simple to just step back onto the field after such an extended absence? I have been tracking the timeline of these sessions closely, and this latest development confirms that the work being done at the training complex is intentional and deliberate. Think about it this way. This is not merely a player staying in shape, but a veteran methodical enough to demand his body meet specific standards before he commits. When I look at his history, particularly how he handled the 2018 holdout, I see a man who refuses to return unless he can perform at the absolute peak of his powers. The front office knows this rhythm as well as I do, which is why they are granting him the grace of a flexible deadline. They have no reason to rush his decision because their current depth chart, including players like Myles Garrett, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner, is already providing stability in the trenches. From my perspective, this shows a front office that understands the value of a leader over the urgency of a quick fix. If he comes back, it will be on his terms, timed perfectly for a full season push rather than a disjointed arrival. Some might worry about the shift in his target announcement date, yet I see it as a calculated tactical maneuver. Why risk a premature return if the goal is to be fully engaged from day one of the regular schedule? The coaches are staying quiet, not out of concern, but out of total respect for the process. They aren't applying pressure, leaving the power dynamic entirely in his hands. It is a rare position for any athlete to hold, but then again, he is not just any athlete. Will we see him back before September? Everything currently points toward that likelihood. So that is the news itself, and now I want to get into what this actually means for the outlook of the roster. When I consider the current state of the defensive line, this development changes the math significantly for the coaching staff. By holding these workouts, the franchise is buying time to evaluate how their defensive tackle rotation handles the upcoming schedule without needing to force an immediate, potentially risky decision. And the more I look at this, I see a calculated approach where the front office avoids unnecessary pressure on the salary cap or depth chart. Having players like Myles Garrett, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner allows the team to maintain a steady defensive identity while they monitor the situation. Does this impact their division standing? Certainly, because having that level of veteran presence would transform a solid unit into a premier defensive force capable of disrupting any opponent. As I track the upcoming matchups, it becomes clear that waiting until late August gives the defense the best chance to reach its highest ceiling for the full season. If the goal is a deep playoff push, integrating such a pivotal piece only after he is fully prepared is the right call for long-term health. Many fans might worry about the shifted decision date, but my take is that we are witnessing a veteran professional prioritizing his own readiness above all else. This process is not about panic, but about ensuring that when the games finally matter, the team is at full strength. It is a luxury, yes, but for a group with aspirations of being at the top, such additions are often the difference between a good season and a great one. I will continue watching these sessions closely to see if his physical output aligns with his standard. The upside of bringing back a veteran of this caliber centers on his unparalleled ability to disrupt offensive schemes while providing an immediate boost to defensive morale. Having such a presence on the field serves as a force multiplier for teammates like Myles Garrett, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner. And I cannot stress this enough. The luxury of having him is that he allows the staff to dictate terms rather than playing out of necessity. On the flip side, the obvious downside involves the uncertainty surrounding his physical commitment and the potential for a sluggish start if he chooses to join late in the calendar. Skeptics might argue that plugging a major piece into a set rotation late in the summer could disrupt the rhythm these younger guys are currently building during camp. Industry analysts like those at NFL Network, including Ian Rappaport, are carefully framing this as a situation that is trending toward a return but lacks the signature of a done deal. Some voices around the league suggest that waiting until the end of the preseason is a clever way to bypass the grind of early camp. Yet others express doubt about whether he can reach his peak output without those traditional reps. My honest take here is that this calculated delay feels like a seasoned professional managing his own longevity. What I really think is that the shift in his target decision date is less about indecision and more about his high personal standard for physical readiness. If he is not convinced he can dominate at the level he expects from himself, he simply will not suit up. I would much rather watch him take this extra time to ensure he is fully invested than witness a premature return that compromises his legendary impact. When you combine the news itself with the long-term roster implications, a clear picture emerges regarding the path ahead for the Los Angeles organization. My bottom line read is that this is a calculated test of physical readiness, not a sign of hesitation. The front office is clearly prioritizing a potential championship push by leaving the door open for a legendary talent, even if it disrupts the usual preseason rhythm. This suggests a franchise direction willing to gamble on late-season veteran impact rather than forcing early development. Here is where it gets interesting. The fact that his decision date shifted yet again tells me he is listening strictly to his own recovery progress, which, in my professional opinion, is the smartest way to manage a return at this stage of a career. Does this move actually strengthen their defensive identity for the long haul, or is the risk of a late arrival too high for the continuity of the current unit? I am curious to see if you believe this luxury addition is worth the potential disruption to the chemistry Myles Garrett, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner are building right now. Also, do you think he will ultimately decide to return before the final preseason deadline expires? Or are we looking at a permanent retirement? I really want to hear your thoughts on this situation in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Rams. I'll see you in the next one. This process proves that while the team remains steady with their current rotation, they know an athlete of his caliber changes the entire calculation for the year ahead if he chooses to suit up.